Peace. It's your brother, Tommy Joshua. I'm giving much love and greetings of peace to everybody listening. I thank you for taking the opportunity to check out these videos. What I want to talk to you, and before I got to start, man, I got to give all praises due to the one true and living God and to the Ogungun, the realm of our ancestors. We thank Almighty God who is one, regardless of which name, which path, which prophet, which power that you acknowledge from that one God. We thank that one God and we speak to you from that height. You know what I mean? So, what I wanted to talk to you in this video is I wanted to go back to the issue of the immediate problem. You know what I'm saying? The immediate problem. All over, the hate that been given to us come back out as the hate directed towards each other. Let's just be clear on that. You know what I'm saying? The thing that I love to say that I've been finding myself saying a lot is clarifying what portion is the slave masters and what portions is the slave. The slave can never be blamed for the awful conditions of a slave society. The slave is not responsible for the slave society. The master of the slaves, the enslaver, is responsible for the slave society. So when people talk about, oh, black people killing each other, black people this and that, yeah, black people killing each other. But ultimately, black people can't really be held responsible for that because we all know that if you strip a human being of dignity, you oppress a human being, you divide a human being, you enslave a human being, how can a human being act as God intended the human being to act? You put any people under the conditions that our people face in North America, and they were acting the same way that we have been acting. There's nothing inherent inside the black character or the black psychosis or the black psychology that just make us murder each other. That's nonsense. And the inverse would be, oh, since these people don't do that to themselves, which is also a lie, they must be the good ones. They must be civilized. They must have a higher culture. Hell no. Hell no. In fact, the folks who enslave us is the people that's the biggest perpetuators of violence and all that type of stuff. So I want to say that first, man, that when I talk about the immediate problem, and the word immediate, I don't got the dictionary definition, but I know it means like something that's pressing, something that's right there, something that's foremost, something that's kind of like urgent, is immediate. The immediate problem that me and you face is the security situation in the black community. It is the conflict, the internal conflict, the internal strife. And I'm not just talking about gun violence against each other. I'm talking about violence between the parents and the children. I'm talking about violence between the children and the parents. I'm talking about violence between the women and the men and the women. I'm talking about the kidnapped, raped black women that's all over this country. I'm talking about the abuse and brutalized and experimenting on black men. I'm talking about all of that violence that we inflict upon ourselves in a context of a violent society. That's what I want to talk about. But could you believe, brothers and sisters, that in the midst of a violent society, in the midst of being ruled over by slave masters, can you believe that there's an opportunity for me and you to leave, to exit out of that situation? Could you believe that, brothers and sisters? Can you believe that in all this darkness that's going on, do you believe and how do you feel knowing that there's a light, that there's a path for us to go and follow to get up out of the darkness? And that's what I would like to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the need for security. Now, oftentimes when I'm speaking to everybody. I'm talking about everybody, black folks. It's my people I'm primarily speaking to. But I'm talking to like three groups within our community, maybe four groups in our community for this discussion. The first group I'm speaking to the revolutionaries. I'm speaking to the folks who are conscious, who have an awareness of who African people were, who African people are, and who African people are today. I'm talking to those folks who did the work to protect their minds, to study, to regain their culture, to position themselves to be of some service to the race. I'm talking to the conscious people. I'm talking to the revolutionaries. The second group that I'm talking to, am I talking to the believers in Almighty God? I'm talking to the believers in God. And once again, don't get caught up on the God word. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Most High. I'm talking about the one supreme power, the creator of all things. I'm talking about what the Orishas talk about. I'm talking about what the angels talk about. I'm talking about that one. We all believe in that one and we all come from that one. I'm talking to the believers. The reason why I'm talking to the believers is because the believers are privy to the prophecy. They privy to the prophecy. They privy to the history. They privy to the power. That puts a big responsibility on you and on me as believers. The third group I'm talking to is I'm talking to the warriors among our people. I'm talking to the warriors, the brothers, the sisters who have that spirit within them that they may not even understand, but that spirit is oftentimes just beneath the surface, just beneath the surface, almost bubbling up. It's this urge to be brave, this urge to be courageous, this urge to rise up and destroy that which threatens life, which threatens our people. The warriors, and the warriors, oftentimes, I love the warriors because the warriors got that heart. And the warriors are oftentimes frustrated. The warriors are oftentimes angry, disgruntled, because the warriors were built for war. And anything that's in this universe that has been built for a certain purpose and is not being used for that purpose, that would be a unsettled or unhappy or frustrated thing. So I salute the warriors, and I'm speaking to the warriors with my words. The last group for this purpose is I'm speaking to the killers. That's right, I'm speaking to the killers, and I pray Almighty God let Brother Tommy words get to the killers, because I have a lot to say to the killers. Because the killers, even though the killers was produced by the serial killers, the big killers, the little killers produced by the big killers, the killers though have a responsibility when it comes to life. So to complete what I was saying about the slave can never be blamed for the enslavement, but the slave is totally, wholly, completely responsible for freedom. Freedom is not in the slave master. This is nowhere in the slave master. That don't make sense for freedom to be inside the slave master. Freedom is really only a longing, is only a nature actually that's in the slave. To become a slave master, you have to completely subvert yourself to Satan. You have to submit to Satan, and you have to completely change yourself from how God made you into something that God despises to become a slave master. A slave master is a person that internalized counter-revolution completely. And they have made themselves unlike a human being and made themselves into a beast. Now the slave, on the other hand, the slave was not placed in that condition by themselves, like they didn't make themselves into a slave. The slave have a nature that even though that nature may be thwarted or that nature may be suppressed at times, that nature has to ultimately come out, and that nature is to be free, is to be just, is to be equal, not equal with the slave master, but equal in creation, equal in life. And that's what we want to talk about today, brothers and sisters. So what I want to get at, I want to introduce to you is I want to, having said all of that, right, having established that we don't have to go through the long debates about, oh, y'all blaming black people for the violence, or, you know, y'all love talking about the oppression of white people over black people, or capitalism over this or that, but y'all never want to talk about black on black, whatever. Y'all, no, we don't even got to deal with none of that. We establishing that, yeah, the big problem have to be solved. The big problem is the powerlessness and the captivity that our people are held in. But the immediate problem that you can't deal with the big problem, and the problem that you have to deal with to get to the big problem, would be the immediate problem, the problem of security. If you look at our history, brothers and sisters, we have all that we need to let us know what we need to do. Anything that we want to do right for our people is already there in our history. We can look to our history, we can look to it, and we can gain inspiration. we can gain encouragement, and we can also see models and blueprints of how to go about things. Inside of our community, internal reconciliation, internal peace, peace treaties among ourselves, reconciliation among ourselves, forgiveness among ourselves, restoration among ourselves. That's what the history show. The history show that. The history show that when the enslaved can come together themselves without the slave master interfering in it, without the slave master's culture, without the slave master's spirit, without the slave master's energy, the so-called slaves, the enslaved, have been able to work things out. And that's what we believe, brothers and sisters. That's what we know. We know that we can work things out. So to cut to the chase, our movement is joining hands with everybody in the black nation to work to address the immediate issue. Now, when it comes to the violence, I'm going to tell you, you know what I'm saying? The situation is set up so that black folks will just continually kill themselves, right? Not only does that injures the race, but it also makes a lot of money. It makes a lot of money. It makes a lot of money for the slave master, but it also makes money from the poverty pimps and the folks who just they make their money, they make their niche, they make their life off the fact of black oppression. So some black people was getting up and they come to us and they act like they friends of ours and they act like they are working to stop the violence. And, you know, and you see them doing 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 100 years. And there's no track record of actually solving nothing, not reconciling anybody, or even creating the conditions for that to happen. But that's not what we're talking about, brothers and sisters. You know, the truth of it and what we've been saying is that there's no alternative to stop the murder than for me and you and for us to rise up as a sovereign black government of peacekeepers. Now that's piece that apart. Sovereign. Sovereign mean that me and you and us are going to have to become powerful with no limits to it. Me and you are going to have to become powerful, and there's no laws that can trump that. Me and you are going to have to become powerful, and there's no human authority that me or you had to go to or ask to or derive that authority from. Sovereignty. Sovereignty. No excuses, no prefixes, just power. This power. And you know, and I know, if you don't know, that type of power only comes from the ultimate power. You're talking about sovereignty. Sovereignty don't come from this world. There's nobody on this planet that has the power to make something sovereign. Sovereignty only comes from Almighty God. And if one is to be sovereign, one must be in line or aligned in the will of Almighty God. One must be moving according to their nature to be sovereign. Anybody masquerading as sovereign that's not in line with the will of God, that's a devil. That's Satan. That's not sovereignty. That's false sovereignty. That's illegitimate authority. What they call that? They call that tyranny. Tyranny is when a person exercises power that they don't have, they shouldn't have, they never have. It's illegitimate. But what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters, I'm talking about an opportunity that's open to us to become sovereign. But sovereign, a sovereign what? A sovereign government. Government is something that is an affairs of human beings, and government means authority. A sovereign, a powerful, with no limits government, and a government means that you govern. To govern means to rule, but a government of peacekeepers. A government of peacekeepers. A sovereign black government of peacekeepers is right there at the door. There's an opportunity for me and you today, right now, to become such a thing. Now, what I wanted to touch upon before we end this video is that when you think about our people, you know, you got 1,000 opinions, a million ways of seeing things inside of our nation. You know, some people say that this is the way to go, that is the way to go. You know, this is the right religion, this is the right ideology, this is the main problem, that's the main problem, and all that's wonderful and beautiful. But brothers and sisters, I can tell you, and you tell me if I'm wrong, the call for security, the call for peace, the want, the need for security is universal within our nation, y'all. Even the brother that's out in the street doing wrong, he may got that pistol on him, and he may pull that pistol out and shoot and whatever. Um, how misguided it may be, this brother is thinking about security. He's thinking about security. You know, that's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about security. Even the selfish ideology in the neighborhood to say, look, I'm going to go out there. Biggie said, I'm just trying to make some money to feed my daughter. What was he talking about? Why he got to feed his daughter? What is that about? That's about security. It's about security. Security. Now, on a more communal level, we talk about having safe neighborhoods. We talk about protecting our homes from invaders, both foreign and domestic. We talk about safe streets. We talk about protecting our children, protecting our women. We talking about security. The whole dialogue we having about how our people are treated at the hands of the occupying military is a discussion about security. The call and the demand and the need for security is damn near universal within the black nation. And until me and you and us deal with this immediate issue, there can be no economic reform. There could be no recruiting of organizations. There could be no development of stable, healthy relationships between black men, black women, and black children. If your joint is in chaos, and if the chaotic agent, the immediate chaotic agent, is that which comes from your own body, the daughter that comes from the womb and the son that comes from the womb, the partner that you lay in the bed with, the parent that you honor or don't honor, the child that you raise or don't raise, if that's the issue, then you have a damn near impossible situation. So the immediate situation, brothers and sisters, is what we want to address. And in the next video, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to jump right into how do we get to become a sovereign black government, but a government of peacekeepers. I want to talk to you and share with you, brothers and sisters, the 10-10-10 program. And I want to talk to you about this great movement that's bubbling up out of the hood right now to achieve those things. So I thank you so much for listening once again. We give all praises to Almighty God and to the Ogungun, to the ancestral realm. We thank you for listening. We wish you love, peace, prosperity, health, wisdom, and all of that good stuff, man. Your boy, Tommy Joshua, we say peace.